Ball every season, ball every season, ball every season. Everything super around me, yeah, that's guaranteed. Big, we ball every season, ball every season, ball every season. Keep it 10K with the team, be like a regime. Big, we ball every season.
Welcome to Sports Minds, where all the roads lead to sports. And we talk ball every season. We're your hosts, Legendarius, Hashmaster Z, and Philthy Phil. Tell me how you feel.
What up?
Man, what's good? What's good?
It's the end of an era, y'all.
End of the era.
So sad. You hate to see it.
Which era? A lot of eras have been ending lately. Which era are we talking about?
America's favorite white man and his favorite black co-host. They splitting up.
Oh!
Skip and Shannon.
No more
It's
happening.
over. It's over after the NBA Finals. You love to see it.
7 years. 7 years going strong until it did.
Wow.
I mean, we already know what happened. A lot of us were pointing to the evidence as to why this was happening. Some people say, oh, they mended fences. Honestly, getting disrespected like that on national TV, there's no mending those fences.
Yeah, I feel like the first straw was when he took the shot at Shannon over the Brady comments. Is like, you had to retire when you were 35, and it's just like, Skip,
Which was nuts, by the way.
And it's like, Skip, first of all, you're a bum. Yeah. Like, you are not in the Hall of Fame for anything. And on top of that, like, most tight ends don't even play that long. So it's just like, please name me a 45-year-old tight end. 45-year-old, like anything. Yeah. So I feel like that was the first shot. But then after the entire DeMar Hamlin situation, remember, Shannon missed that episode, and then when he came back, he was trying to do the monologue, and he low-key went off on Skip. I felt like that. I was like, that was the last straw. This is it.
And then when Skip didn't apologize stubbornly on TV, that's when Shannon mentally was like, I'm be professional, but I'm trying to get out of here.
Yeah.
And I don't, for listeners listening and whatnot, there's a YouTuber by the name of Flimlo Raps, so shout out to him, that pointed out the Skip Bayless's personality to a T. He doesn't slander anyone, but he said on Skip Bayless's podcast, which I was able to check out myself, said the lines, I told my wife on the first date that she will always come second to my career. And that told him everything he needed to know about Skip's personality, how he moves. So with that being said, it's more that Skip is willing to do anything, go any length to prolong his career, stay in this character, which was a character, now seems to be who he actually is, just to get more views, higher ratings, and he's willing to cut down anybody, in order to get that acclaim. So if y'all haven't checked it out, check it out.
Yeah. And honestly, Shannon has sort of surpassed him. He's been the main draw to the show over at least the past 2 years. And I feel like, when Skip's not the guy, he gets a little salty. And it's just like, Skip's not the guy. Like, Shannon had his his liquor business going. He had his podcast going before Skip had a podcast. So I just felt like Shannon, at first Shannon needed Skip. Now Shannon doesn't need Skip. Shannon can do his own thing, but that leads us into what is it you want to see? Because Stephen A said he would be open to having Shannon on First Take with open arms. Would you want to see Stephen A and Shannon First Take?
Absolutely.
Well, even Stephen A coming out, though, you just kind of look at the optics of the whole thing. Like, you got Stephen A, who used to be Skip's partner. You got Shannon going on with Skip and, new partners. And then that goes out where you just got Stephen A, doing the Chappelle meme from the Prince skit. Come through over here, baby. Come through. And like, dude, it's just like, you're right. Like you said, Hashmaster, Skip showed himself. I don't know. I get it. Skip is a draw in terms of if you're working with him, you're going to get your numbers up. You don't have to work with him. It's it's just nasty. Like I wasn't surprised to see it. It's like, wow, like what else is new? Skip Bayless constantly puts his foot in his mouth all the time. Does it on Twitter, does it on TV. And I don't think anything phases him at this point. It's just what's next.
Yeah. Well, another question is for Skip. Like, obviously, he's gonna have to get a new co-host. Like, do you think, like, who do you think he can get? Like, would anyone like, would they be viewed as a sellout for working with Skip?
It's gonna have to be
tough.
right or JJ Redick if he doesn't go into coaching.
Nick Wright, I don't think that would be a good
Wright
mix.
wouldn't do it.
JJ Redick, I feel like that would be a good one because JJ Redick has like very like solid points in the way that he argues. And I can already tell that Stephen A does not like having JJ Redick on First Take because JJ Redick just makes him look stupid.
I lose debates, I go on my phone.
And it's tough. It's very easy that there's an option like G where it's like no one wants to work with Skip, and it's like I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, he's not even when I was watching First Take Heavy when it was him and Stephen A in the prime. I mean, I wasn't really watching for Skip. I was watching for Stephen A when I was valuing his opinion more at the time. I don't know. There's just no draw to Skip Bayless for me. He just says outrageous stuff, puts his foot on the table, off his dusty ass Jordans. It's like, all right, dude.
Yeah.
My problem with Skip, it goes back to when Jalen Rose like clowned on him, and he's like all your little high school stats and your watered down Pistol Pete Jr. And then dude, Skip was so upset that like he had to have a debate the next day. It's like, you insulted me, and he's like trying to defend himself basically. But it's like, bro, there's so many disrespectful things Skip has said to NBA players. Like, never forget, he used to call Chris Bosh Boss Spice, had him on the show, and Bosh is like, yeah, it's my family name, etc., so I don't really like anyone like playing with my name, call me like Bosh Spice, whatever. Skip hears all that and is like, well, I defend why I call you Bosh Spice, and I will still call you Bosh Spice. Like, that is just like clown behavior.
Yeah.
But that is the epitome of whiteness, though. That is literally what we talk about all the time, like the audacity, like to do that's literally that behavior. He does that all the time. White people do that all the time. You can hear Skip Bayless, I this before at work, and it's just because like that's just that tempo, and it's shitty, and that's why I'm saying no one has to work with this asshole.
Yeah.
And I actually don't think anyone will, because I mean, okay, the money's there. Somebody's gonna take it. Somebody is. As much as we don't like it, it's gonna happen. Hell, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Acho's ass on there. But I don't think he's the type of quote unquote black man that Skip would like to work with. So. Because Acho, even though he says outrageous shit, would be able to school him on a lot of things.
Yeah.
I think it's just, you know what? I'm happy for Uncle Shaq for getting out of there. Keeping his peace, because once a work relationship goes sour, stuff can get toxic pretty fast. But I mean, hey, his podcast is going very strong. Like the Legendarius said, all his other side businesses are, for a lack of a better term, booming. And Undisputed, honestly, I've only watched it because of Shannon Sharpe. I tuned in every day for Shannon Sharpe.
Yeah.
Not for Skip Bayless.
Yeah. Anytime there's something crazy that happens, like, I can't wait to see what Shannon has to say.
Yeah, exactly.
It's never I gotta see what Skip has to say.
Right. Unless it was him putting his foot in his mouth and be like, I want to see this motherfucker eat crow.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be surprised if folks from All the Smoke start rotating in and out.
Ooh, that'd be interesting. I don't think they rock with Skip.
I don't think so either, but I've seen weirder things because they're at FS1.
That's true. That is true. Well, moving on from TV into real sports, we gotta talk about these NBA finals. But first, as we ended last episode, we did say that the Heat would win, Well, we also said that they were going to win Game 6, and if they lost Game 6, then they would lose Game 7. So, we're kind of, we're like in the middle there. But
Nah, I stood 10 toes down. I said Heat Party into 7.
okay. Well, the Heat definitely had the party in Game 7 in Boston. Parade, not in the City 8. But, man, Caleb Martin, 26, Jimmy Butler, 28. And
how do you not blow up that Bill Simmons face and not just wrap it around the team plane?
Yeah, I don't know. Also, how do you not blow up the team? Because they came out, they said Joe Mazzulla is still going to be our coach. We're running it back again.
So I would like to take the opportunity to apologize to my other co-host, Philthy Phil. I said, hey, you don't need to blow it up. They're too talented. In watching Game 6, 7, all that stuff, I'm thinking to myself, I'm thinking about what Phil said. Jaylen Brown, he's talented, but just something's off. Game 7, saw the same thing where I'm like, there's just no constant offensive flow. And Legendarius mentioned it too. Getting a real point guard, that works. That should work. You can get a lot of pieces and talent for Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum, depending on who you want, to get out and get rid of. And it's like, we've seen this movie for 6 to 7 years, and it ends in almost guaranteed fashion every single time. Celtics look good. Celtics look great. Celtics are in the playoffs. Celtics could go to the finals. Whoa, conference finals. Game 5, Game 6. Are the Celtics for real? Oh, they're going to win it. Boom, they lose. And then repeat the cycle. Yes, Jason Tatum's 24 years old. Yes, Jaylen Brown's 25, 26. But at this point, it's like, yeah, they've been doing this and being so close and never eclipsed it for so long. I would have to just say, hey, just cut your losses, get a lot of value.
I do have a question too for you guys, because I've just noticed it. And yes, Jason Tatum did roll his ankle, but he did play the entire game.
Exactly.
Is he getting a pass? Because I feel like he's getting a pass, because like everyone is going in on Jaylen Brown. It's like, no. Jason Tatum was in this game too and did just as bad, if not worse. 10 points, I believe.
You're 0 from 10 from 3. What the fuck? I'm sorry. What the fuck are you doing shooting that many threes? Like Shaq.
Yeah, the problem with Tatum is his love of wanting to do his best Kobe impression, but I guess it's when he was wearing number 8. I don't understand what he's doing.
Yeah, I just think all right, I get it.
He has his moments, but I just feel like he gets the superstar tag, but then we always give him a pass when he comes up short. A pass LeBron doesn't get, a pass KD doesn't get.
Correct.
Jason Tatum gets it, Devin Booker gets it, but he's supposed to be a superstar, and he always gets the pass. It's like, oh, he's young. Oh, he was hurt. Oh, this.
Hell, they
oh,
destroyed
that.
Giannis for that.
Yeah.
And Giannis is not even from out here, man. No, he doesn't get a pass from me. Only because if you're a superstar, and this is an 8th seed, mind you, you're not supposed to lose that. And he hurt his ankle. Okay.
Y'all had 6 other games.
Right. And what did Mazzulla say? You gotta play through it.
Yeah.
I don't think I've heard him talk much this season at all.
Yeah.
But that was one of the realest things I heard.
But
play through it.
And I just think with Boston, they're kind of being stubborn, because Al Horford's not getting any older. He's a key piece to their offense, which, I mean, if he's a key piece to your offense at that age, that's already a problem.
Yes.
Rob Williams, they don't know how to utilize him properly. And I just feel like they're being stubborn at this point. It hasn't worked. You don't have a real point guard. It doesn't work. Let Marcus Smart be a Draymond Green type, but you need a real point guard in there. And hey, maybe there's not a lot of point guards out there. That is actually low-key a true statement. But I feel like that's what they're needing more than anything. They don't need Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum to say, my turn, your turn. They need a point guard to be it's my turn, and I'm getting everybody else involved.
Yes. And then when
I think the issue too with Jaylen Brown getting torched so hard over Tatum is like when you look at the field goal disparity, you have Jaylen Brown shooting 23 field goals, like making 8 of them, 1 for 9 from 3. Tatum only shot 13, and it's like, Brown, you're shooting like 2-1 right now, and you're cold as hell. Let's think of something new or not. Okay, it's fine.
Well, that's the thing, is
it's like, what are you
nobody
doing?
was shooting. Like, you remember, like, they made a little run in the third quarter behind Derek White. Derek White was only like, all right, no one's going to shoot. Jaylen Brown, you can't make a shot. Jason Tatum, you can't do anything. Nobody else is going to shoot the ball. I guess, like, I'll start getting buckets. But he's Derek White, so he can only get buckets for, like, 2 minutes. And then the Heat shut that down. Yeah. But Celtics are gone, and we already had game 1 of the finals, and we got game 2 tomorrow. Game 1 of the finals, the Nuggets came out, rested, 9 days of rest, the third most rested team all time. And they basically just ran a train on the Heat. It wasn't even close. It was not close. From the jump, Bam came to play finally. He was not good in most of that Celtics series. Bam came to play, but Jimmy Butler is awful. 13 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists. Caleb Martin was even worse, even though he was this, the hero in the previous series. And Max Strus, my man, out here shooting 0 for 10. And it's not like it was 0 for 10. He's forcing shots. 0 for 10, wide open shots. Everything was wide open. It's like, man, Max Strus, what's wrong with you? And on the flip side, we had Aaron Gordon, who looked like, Shaq in the first quarter. And I feel like this was kind of the same thing that happened with the Lakers against the Nuggets, where they're like, oh, we just beat another team by like going small. Let's stay small. And it's just like, you're not playing. You're not playing your last series. You're playing a new series where Jokic is 7 feet, Aaron Gordon 6'10", Michael Porter Jr. 6'10", KCP 6'5", and Jamal Murray 6'3". Like, they're a big team, and they just
and they're long.
Yeah, and they just like, we're gonna go into the post until you put bigger people in here. And I feel like I'm gonna give Spo, benefit of the doubt to make the adjustments that are needed. Hero didn't play in that first game. They got to play Hero. And Kevin Love didn't play either. And for what he's been, he's 6'10". You need a big body in there. Like, one thing I don't understand is, like, how do you have Cody Zeller, who has no offensive package, no defensive package? He's just fucking tall and gets rebounds. Like, how do you have him in the game and Kevin Love doesn't get a single minute? It's like, at least Kevin Love can shoot the three.
Yeah.
At least he's an offensive threat.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I agree with that, because it's like, what got you here, so what got you there won't get you here type of stuff, like type of mentality. So it's like, for Miami, it's like, oh yeah, we're going to go small against the Denver Nuggets with some of the tallest lineups in the league, or if not the tallest. It's like, nah, you have to adjust. I personally think it was Game 7 layover. They're tired. Yeah, they got their little rest now. I think we're going to see a different game, Game 2, where it's going to be close. No, I'm not saying Miami winning tonight. No. But
making me do it.
Yeah, it'll just be closer.
All right, you're making me do it. I got a cape for Jokic. I can't believe y'all. What are we talking about here? Jokic absolutely played that way on purpose. Look at this man's name. Triple-double, 27, 10, and 14, okay? Oh, by the way, he shot the ball 3 times in the first half on purpose, okay? This guy had single-digit stat lines outside of the 11 assists and going into halftime. And then in the second half, Jokic absolutely explodes and gets the quietest 27 I've seen since the last time they said it was quiet. Like, he absolutely murdered in the paint. The 3-ball, the 1-3 he hit, it gave me PTSD from when he killed the Lakers with a very similar looking 3. It's nasty, man. This is what I've been saying. What are the Heat gonna do with Jokic the whole time? I just don't see it. Yes, Bam played phenomenal. I totally agree. When Bam plays like that, when he has a double double, the Heat usually win. I mean, it worked like that versus Boston. He played great versus Denver, and they still got creamed. So yes, I will not disrespect Spo. He will definitely they retired a grueling 7-game series. But hell, man, what are you gonna do with Jokic? Is like all I really keep thinking. What are you gonna do?
Well, hold on. Because like I get what you're saying, but let's not forget, yeah, Bam played great. Jimmy Butler had 13 points. Jimmy Butler averages 28 in these playoffs. They lost by 11. Like it's not like, oh, the Heat have nothing that they can do. It's just like, yeah, I mean, Jimmy Butler can and will play better. If Bam can stay at that level, then the Heat have a legitimate shot. And let's not forget also, Caleb Martin was awful in this game. Like, there's a lot of like, I don't know. I just feel like it's one game. Everyone like jumps to like big conclusions after one game, but we're not looking at the entire story. Like Tyler Hero averaged 20 during the season. He didn't play. Caleb Martin had 3 points. He shot 1 for 7. Strus 0 for 10. And it's not like it was great defense. Duncan Robinson 1 for 6. And it's not like it was great defense. It was just like we're missing wide open shots. I think they're gonna clean that up. And if they're making these open shots like they've been doing all playoffs long, then it's anyone's series.
Agreed. And even to your point, being anyone's series, game 2 gets more interesting if in fact Tyler Hero does play. He's currently probable, and they're expecting him to be in the lineup for game 2.
In the starting lineup or just in the lineup?
Just playing. I don't know where he's going to be, what Spo's going to do with him, but I'm just saying he's healthy. It's looking like he's going to go.
Got you. Well, we gonna see. What is your prediction for game 2? I'm rolling with the Heat.
Yeah, game two, I'm definitely going to believe the Heat are going to do something different. I totally believe Tyler Hero playing does change the game, especially for Spo and his game plan. So I think this is Spo's shot at like a clean slate, like basically let's do it again. What we thought the Lakers were going to do in game 2, basically. So I think I think the Heat even it out going back to Miami.
I got Denver winning game 2.
All right, bold prediction there. I'm just kidding.
I have to see the evidence first, but at the same time, Miami, like Legendarius pointed all out that all signs indicate that Miami Heat could win this game 2, and most likely fight. But I think Denver's too good at home right now, so I'm gonna go with Denver. No answer for Jokic.
All right, we shall see.
I definitely believe Miami gets to the foul line way more than they did in game 1.
Yeah, I feel like the refs were definitely swallowing the whistle in game 1. Fouls that Miami got all playoffs on, they weren't really getting, or in particular, like at the rim, Jimmy Butler was not getting any foul calls. But I'm not being biased. I'm just saying that's what I witnessed. But let's move on. There's a lot of NBA news outside of the finals.
Oh yeah, busy news week.
Hey,
NBA for sure.
Remember that guy like a month and a half ago that said Bob Myers is gonna be out of here at the end of the year for the Warriors, and it's the end of an era. And then just this last week, Bob Myers stepping down, saying it's just time.
Well, that's because Legendarius is an insider for the Golden State Warriors. I was playing that.
Yeah, what timeline are you from, sir?
Right? Jesus.
Shit, not the one that wins me all the money on bets. I wish I was from that one.
I'm you from the future. But yeah, no, all right. Let's talk about it. As we know, Bob Myers contributed in building one of the more successful NBA dynasties. And when I say that, I'm talking from 2015 till now. Not like the last 2 years where people are like, oh, it's a dynasty show. It's not. I think NBA front offices are given not as much credit as NFL front offices at times when they build great teams. So they're like, oh yeah, you have great players. This is what's supposed to happen. It's like, no. Bob Myers made smart decisions that made Golden State into the non-joke that we see it. Because for all you bandwagoner fans, before 2015, before 2014, before 2013 even, the Warriors were a joke. And it got to the point to where they were hiring in front office folks to figure out how to make money, and that was it. But it was they weren't about winning. Bob Myers comes along, helps helps build and architects the culture that we now know it, and that's leaving. That's going to send some ripple effects because the next person comes in maybe may have been like a disciple, but will they be Bob Myers? And I don't think so.
Yeah, and with that, like the Warriors already had moves to make that haven't been made, or decisions to make that haven't been made. Like you can't keep that team together. So are you gonna get rid of Poole, Wiggins, Draymond, or Clay? Like that's now for the next person that comes in. The next GM has to be like, all right, this is what we need. And their first move is going to be moving one of those guys. And that is already going to sort of set the tables. Like, is this dude going to be successful or a failure? Because if that move doesn't work out based off of the Warriors' expectation now, which is, win as long as they have Steph, then everyone's going to be looking at that GM sideways.
And we already seen what happened when Steph is without his bandmates, especially Clay. That's a play-in tournament that you lose. That's non-playoff appearances. So they have to sit down long and hard about what they actually want to move their team into. So yeah, all right. I mean, that's just the way it goes sometimes in sports. We can't win them all forever.
Yeah, just another crack in the foundation.
Right. And
another crack in the foundation of that was the Warriors' version of that dynasty, and they got to figure it out. But Myers gone, Draymond's probably gone. Clay, figure it out. Like, figure out your role play. Yeah, they got work to do.
Yep.
Yes, indeed. And speaking of other organizations and changes that have been made, we had 3 head coaching hires this past week. So the Sixers hired Nick Nurse from the Toronto Raptors. We got Frank Vogel and the Suns going for a 5-year deal. And then we got Monty Williams to the Pistons for a 6-year deal, which could possibly be an 8-year deal. So which of these do you feel like is the most impactful and helps these teams be in a position to win it all?
As much as I hate to say it.
In terms of winning it all, I don't necessarily believe it on paper as is. I think all these coaches have work to do with their own versions of what they're trying to bring to these teams.
Right.
But I think one of the more intriguing ones is Nick Nurse to the Sixers, because it's just like, what are you doing? Your first move is figuring out Harden and that player option. If you're getting them going, well, that's more money that you have. What are you going to do there? And now you can craft Embiid to kind of how you want. That's your version of like, who am I thinking? Like a Kawhi, like your one big name, and you build around him and you go from there. So I'm kind of what Nick Nurse does with the Sixers and how they build once they figure out Harden. But other than that, I am curious about the Suns and Vogel, just because like I am a Vogel fan. I do like him. But he has work to do, because like, what are you going to do with that roster? The way he likes to play defense, the roster is not constructed that way. So he has to figure that out as well. So I'm curious to see what he does. Monty Williams, he has the most work to do. That's why I see why he has the most lucrative deal and the longest deal. But I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, that roster isn't the most attractive either. But for me, I kind of want to, first of all, let's do this. You guys answer that, and then I have a follow-up, because I do have an interesting question for that Monty Williams Detroit contract.
Gotcha.
Well, for me, I feel like all the coaches that like initially got fired and like now have been replaced, they were kind of the scapegoats because for me, I don't feel like this is a coaching issue. I feel like all three of these teams have GM issues because the roster is not like conducive to winning at all. The Suns are too small, too top heavy, no bench. Nick Nurse, the Sixers, you have Harden and Embiid. We've seen it for 2 years. It doesn't work. And Harden's only getting older and losing more and more. And also that Tobias Harris contract's terrible. And then for Detroit, Detroit's a young team, lottery year after year. Cade Cunningham was hurt all season, so we haven't even seen what they could really be. But they have a, a wide variety of young talent. So I feel like the coaches were kind of scapegoats for the most part. But if we're talking expectations, it's got to be Vogel and the Suns, NBA champion Vogel and the Suns. You got KD, you got Booker. You do what you need to do to make it work.
Yep, I agree because yeah, not like going over the laundry list, but at least with the 76ers from what I see, I agree with Philthy. Once they get rid of Harden, or I mean, depending on how they move with that, let's just say that because I feel they should get rid of Harden
and Tucker
and Tobias Harris, get off that contract. Why, like you? Oh, never mind. That's like a subject for another time. And somebody needs to get into like, Joel Embiid here and just be like, you can't choke in the second round. It's done. 28 years old. Be a grown man. Okay? We need you to put your big boy pants on. Now for Frank Vogel and the Suns, I think this is my pick as far as like, okay, who might win it all out of these three? Clearly it's Frank because he's done it. Nick Nurse has too, but Frank has at least the top heavy talent. I think filling in those defensive holes and having the rest of the roster buy in to the defensive mentality, that's going to be more. That's going to be more of his challenge. Like, yo, I get it, D-Book. You want to go out there and score, blah, blah. But I was like, remember, who is your idol again? Kobe Bryant. You know what he did too? Play defense. Like, he didn't just sit there and wait till it was time to play offense. No, he went after it every single play. That's what I'm going to need out of you if you want to be Kobe. KD, he's KD. He's going to be KD. He's going to give you defensive effort. He's just not an elite defender. You might have to think about moving DeAndre Ayton to get some of those pieces on defense. And then Monty Williams.
That has to be a priority.
Yeah. And Monty Williams, it's like, okay, you have kids. You have kids now. It's just going to be like Suns 2.0. I think the Detroit Pistons paid attention to what he did with the Suns in the bubble, especially, where it's like, oh, they went on an 8-0 run. Cool. Let's see if this translates. And lo and behold, it did. So, I mean, I'm interested to see what happens to all three, but I think Frank Vogel is in the best position to do so because, KD and D-Book they don't necessarily shrink when it's time to, really elevate, except, D-Book in Game 6, but that's a different thing. He just doesn't do it as much as it be.
Interesting. Now, what I wanted to ask you guys, specifically in regards to the Monty Williams and Pistons contract, is now what I originally read was 6 years, 72 mil. I mean, the dollar value doesn't really matter, but what stuck out to me was the deal could reach up to 8 years, $100 million based on team options and incentives. Now, if I'm an organization and I'm giving you up to possibly $100 million, given this team and the history of this franchise, what are reasonable expectations for this deal? Matter of fact, just erase the up to 100 M's just in regards to the 6-year 72 or 70-ish, whatever it is. What are your expectations? Because I floated this question around to other sports circles, and some of them just kind of laughed it off, and it's basically like no expectation to like play in, hopefully. But I think that's a little bit of a low aim for what you're paying for this type of coach who's possibly like a top 10-ish coach, right? But if you're paying this money, I got to believe you got to have higher aspirations over a 6-year term up to an 8-year, 100 mil term. So I was just curious to see what you guys were thinking if you're in that, that person's shoes, given Monty Williams that type of deal. What are your expectations? What are you seeing realistically?
I feel like that's gotta be half of your deal. Your team has to be in the playoffs, which for the Pistons, they haven't been in the playoffs in nearly a decade. So I feel like they're just thirsty to get back into relevance. Exactly. So if you're not even if you're not making the playoffs once we're like 3 years into this thing, then I don't know what the expectation is.
I understand that. I'm gonna say I'm gonna do like the 4, 6, 8 plan. So first 4 years, show me improvement, right? So I'm not talking about like, oh, we went from 20 wins to 30 wins. Fuck that. Now 20 wins. Like I don't know how many games Detroit won this year. I didn't pay attention to them as much.
They have the worst record in the league.
Yeah, I believe it was like what 15 to 20 wins though.
Yeah.
Yeah. So next year I'm expecting, around 35, 40 wins, right? Like just something like show me something. Be an exciting team. Somebody that, a team that can draw fans, butts and seats. That's gonna be the first 2 years. Year 3, okay. I want to be in contention and talks about playoffs. Like it's time. So year 3 and 4, you're either playing games or being in the big dance, as in the playoffs. Year 4, year 5, okay. Hey, let's see if we can win a playoff series. And then next thing you know, once we're at the end of 6, then I'll make my decision from there. And then going up to 8, I'm not saying like you have to win a championship. They don't have people like that. But basically more of the same as year 6. Can we win a playoff series? How did it look when we lost? Like, what?
This is my problem, though. I get what you're saying. It's my problem. When we look at it that way, it's like, okay, you have all this young talent. So 4 to 6 years from now, these young guys should be stars. Like, if not, then your GM's not doing a good job, or the coaches aren't doing a good job of developing. Because it's like you have number 1 pick, Cade Cunningham. You have number 2 pick, James Wiseman. You have number 4 pick, Marvin Bagley. You have number 4 pick, Jaden Ivey. Like, we can't sit here and act like these guys don't have talent. If not, they wouldn't have been drafted so high. So either you're fucking up in the draft, or you're not developing well. It's one or the other. So it's like, hey, if we drafted bad guys, then get the GM out. But if we're not developing these guys into what they're supposed to be, if you're a number 1 pick, you're a number 4 pick, then that's on the coaching staff. But to be like, oh, they don't have talent, it's like, develop the talent. Yeah. You had pick after pick after pick after pick, develop the talent. You got another top 4 pick this year.
Right.
Develop the talent.
Okay. Yeah, and you're absolutely right. Right. So but I'm just saying like that. If I'm a GM, those are my expectations, and I expect my coach to develop the players. And at some point in time, it kind of ties back into the process, right? 76ers. We've waited for the process to be complete for 10 years, and I don't think it's gonna be enough. Me personally,
the process is over.
Process is over.
Yeah, see, I didn't think I was too crazy because I was like, no, you have to be thinking more than having 0 to play in basically expectations. No way. That's why I had to check with my co-host over here on Sports Minds. Also, I got to check with you guys on this in the rumor mill. These are conflicting rumors. So either one's true or they're both not true. But apparently in the rumor mill, you're hearing the Lakers and Raptors for a trade, Fred VanVleet for D'Lo, and then at the same time, Nick Nurse possibly replacing Harden with Fred VanVleet if that option is in fact declined. What does this rumor do for either of y'all?
I don't want Fred VanVleet.
Fred VanVleet for the 76ers, though.
Yeah, he could work well with the Sixers, but he's also not a true point guard. He's a shooter. He's a short shooting guard. Is basically how I look at it. So for the Lakers, that move doesn't make sense. For the Sixers, I'm gonna also say it doesn't make sense because you have Tyrese Maxey. So it's just like, why are you? Yeah, it was like but he's also a short guy. So it's just like, why are you going to make your team smaller? And I feel like what we've been seeing is like clearly like going small is not the way to go. It works for the Warriors when you have like the best shooters ever, but for like most teams, it's just like actually when you go small, you get when you go small, you get exposed. So I think both of these rumors are nothing, and nothing will come of them. But again, I could just be the dumb guy that never played the game, doesn't know anything about anything, but can just sit back and watch all the moves that need to happen and say that they need to happen before the coach actually does it, and then the coach makes the moves too late. Sorry, Darvin Ham.
LOL.
But
I hope none of it's true. I agree with y'all. Both seem like questionable fits. I definitely don't agree with the Laker move. It just seems like a lateral move. Like, okay, he's maybe gonna make the shot D'Lo misses, but you're not really replacing anything.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, he's a more consistent shooter. He doesn't play any defense. He's older.
Well, it would definitely fit in with the Laker way of, getting a veteran.
Yeah, but Rob's been sitting here saying we want to keep our young guys. We need to be younger. We want young talent, et cetera, et cetera. So it's like, don't say you want to be young and then go get a fucking 28, 29-year-old point guard, short point guard at that. And he's not really a point guard. He's just a shooting guard. But we will see. We'll talk, especially Lakers. Hint, hint. We're a Lakers podcast. But we'll talk especially Lakers moves once these playoffs are over. But I say let's pivot to the NFL and these QBs that need to get paid.
It's time.
It is, because we were having this conversation last weekend about money over rings. And now we're hearing
it's
about.
It's interesting how focus it's becoming. It's quite polarizing. It's kind of hitting all levels of like sports media now.
Yeah, and Mahomes considering a team-friendly deal, but also wants to get some money. And then Joe Burrow saying he wants a deal that works for both sides. I feel like they're just they want to keep their persona of like, yeah, I'm about the team, so like all the fans are on my side, but I think they're really like, y'all better fucking pay me. Like, that's what I believe in my heart. I believe they're like saying what like sounds good to the media, but they're like, y'all need to pay me. Like, there's no way Joe Burrow is gonna be okay getting paid less than like Daniel Jones and shit. Like and Deshaun Watson with his guaranteed money. Like, these QBs are not gonna be like, oh yeah, it's cool, I just want to win. Like, it's not. Everyone's not Tom Brady.
I would say I think we talked about this a little bit a while ago. Just talking about it all depends on your financial situation growing up, right? Like some of these quarterbacks are literal breadwinners for everybody in their family. Others may have grown up with money, a la Patrick Mahomes, which allows him to understand, like, my dad was a pro athlete. I could see how this could work out and go. I'll be fine doing this because I understand that my other money, like my other types of money in the avenue, will make up for that. Not everyone has that. So if I'm Joe Burrow and knowing Cincinnati, that did not want to pay Carson Palmer, mind you.
Yeah.
that is notoriously cheap. It did not want to pay their number one overall pick, Carson Palmer. He's played it close to the vest right now. And if I'm Joe, I'm like, hey, either A, I'm the best. I'm getting paid the highest, or I'm in Lamar and Jalen Hurts area of payment. So it's that or nothing. So
Well, I think players like Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert are in especially unique situations where, I mean, I don't know how they grew up or their background, but I mean, they're in unique situations as such where it's like Joe Burrow, his offense is so unique to have two number ones, such a high powered offense. We'll see what they do with Joe Mixon at the end of it all. But I mean, like, that's a unique situation because I mean, depending on how he does, yeah, you can go for it money wise, but if you go for your money, there goes your offense, and you kind of got to figure it out from there. But from what I've been seeing and what I've been seeing from other people, I mean, he genuinely wants to keep both Higgins and Chase, so that means that will call for something that they have to figure out. And Justin Herbert's situation is unique because you can try and set the bar too and be a high paying quarterback, but that means you're not going to have an offense, buddy. Mike Williams is only going to get older and more injured. What am I thinking? Keenan, what's his name? Allen.
Keenan Allen.
Yeah, Keenan's.
Wow, I can't believe I blanked on his name. Anyway, sorry. Keenan Allen, he's only going to get more injured and older as well. I mean, yeah, they got Quentin Johnston, but I mean, he's basically Mike Williams. So, I mean, your offense isn't really there. You pretty much had an Austin Eckler situation. He's coming back with the team. But I mean, if you're Justin Herbert, you kind of want some offense at a certain point. So that's why I think these two players in particular are in unique situations where you can go after money, but I mean, it's going to hinder your progress as a player at the end of the day.
I just think at the end of the day, sometimes a lot of players need to have self-awareness. Like Daniel Jones, there's no reason why that you should have been like, yes, give me 160 million. But at the same time, as a real human being, you're like, yes, give me 160 million.
Yeah.
So it's like, so I get it because it's like you don't want to hamstring the team, and you don't want to bleed them dry. I would try to make it a win-win scenario where it's like, pay me up front a lot, and then we'll figure out the back ends, as long, so that we can continue to build for now. So, and I'm pretty sure that both sides will work something out, and Cincinnati will change their ways as far as like not being cheap, because it's like Joe Burrow, whether you believe it or not, or want to admit it or not, he's the best quarterback that the Cincinnati Bengals have ever had. So they're going to want to keep that talent.
So with this fight here, I wanted to ask y'all as well. Man, I'm so full of questions today. But man, I'm just curious, like just thinking about it long term, and it just kind of hit me, just looking at the Cardinals, after their D-Hop situation, after their drafting situation, going into next year with additional picks from the Texans. I just don't get it. Like some teams you see, they're trying to make an effort. We're trying to win. We're trying to make the right players. We're trying to figure out a financial situation. I don't see the Cardinals doing that ever. Like they had 1 or 2 years with Kyler Murray, and then he just said, fuck it. Like, I don't know. I just don't know. Like, I don't know what the brain power is going on here. I mean, if you don't want your team in Arizona, just say so, and we can relocate. I mean, I've done that in Madden, but I just don't get it. So I just want to see what you guys are thinking there.
It's just simply bad management. Like not everybody's going to look like the Patriots of the 2000s. Not everyone's going to look like the 49ers or Seahawks. Hell, Philadelphia, and all these great organizations in the NFL that knows how to do business and what they are, what they want to be. I think the issue with the Arizona Cardinals is they lack in a team identity. They don't know what they want. It's like, we have Kyler Murray, 2019. Cool. Let's bring in Cliff Kingsbury and have him throw the ball all over the yard with short little screen passes, and every now and then we'll use his athleticism, and then we'll throw the deep ball every now and then. Then it was like, okay, now we have a spread out offense with D-Hop. Let's, once again, hit the short to intermediate routes because that's what D-Hop's good at. Let's hit those deep passes every now and then, so we lull, while lulling the defense to sleep. John Connor, And no, yeah, I think it's John Connor and
Is that an airplane?
James Conner.
James Conner, yeah, there you go. I was like, I know it's not John. I was like, it's James. So James Conner and fuck, what was the other running back's name? Anyway,
Well, they had Chase Edmonds. They got rid of him, and then after that, they just started cycling through.
Yeah.
But I feel like they're kind of in a win-win situation right now, because if they tank, they'll get the number 1 pick, which is going to be Caleb Williams. And at that point, they could, they have a decision to make, but it's a good decision to make. It's like, all right, do we want to roll with Kyler Murray and he's our guy, or do we want to trade Kyler Murray and we'll draft Caleb Williams and, basically start fresh?
All right, so
because either way, it's like you trade Kyler Murray, you're gonna get some draft picks back. You trade Caleb Williams, you trade the number 1 pick, you're gonna get some pieces back or some more draft picks back. So I feel like they're in a win-win situation, but that's all based on the Cardinals being a smart organization, which they have not been. And they got a new coach, the DC from the Eagles, Jonathan Gannon. So they really do need to address both sides of the ball. I believe Budda Baker already said he's not coming back. So like they got a lot of issues, but I feel like they did just get a new GM, so it's kind of like, all right, let's scrap this, start again. You get 5 years to get this right.
Yeah, and I guess in some ways, depending on what we see from Kyler this year and what we see throughout his career, whether it's at his best or at his worst, at this point, you're like, who would you rather have? Caleb Williams or Kyler Murray? And I don't think it's as loaded as a question as it could be. I would still take Kyler Murray, honestly, because the talent's there, everything's there. It's just you need to know what your offense identity is going to be. It can't just be Kyler Murray or us. Like you need to form around his talents. You need to build the defense that can actually stop people. So it's like, I don't know. I just think the lack of identity is what the issue is with players.
Yeah, between the offense and the defense, it's like okay. But yeah, we'll see. As Legendarius said, they got some new personnel and important decision-making areas, and we'll see if they can turn it around from here. But oh man, this prior era, it's god awful. But yeah, we'll see. But in related news, okay, we know D-Hop's on the move, free agent. He still hasn't signed anywhere. It's kind of pissing me off, by the way. But it's just like, he already went on a podcast. He already stated the 5 teams. We already talked about it, but still these journalists keep connecting him to other teams. Watson's doing an interview. Someone dropped him, D-Hop in the conversation, and he said, I would love to, link up with D-Hop. So now it's a whole other shitstorm. So now I gotta ask once again, D-Hop and Deshaun Watson in Cleveland, how does that sound?
You already know what I gotta say, so I ain't entertaining this. I ain't entertain Lamar getting traded. I ain't entertaining D-Hop to Cleveland. He literally has his list of teams. That's where he's gonna end up.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Legendarius on this one. So it's like he told you what he wants. It's like, yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to working with Deshaun Watson again, but I already did that. And they're cool, by the way. So it's not like, it's not like there's no ill will. It's like, bro, I'm not going to.
It's like he played with Deshaun Watson, and he was not on the list of quarterbacks he would want to play with again. So clearly, I feel like that says what needs to be said right there. It's just like, yeah, it's cool. Like, we played together, but it'd really be an honor to play with Lamar. Or, Patrick Mahomes, right. Basically saying, Deshaun Watson, you're not in that category.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like, that people really, overlook. Where it's like, if someone was a great coworker, you almost never hesitate at the chance to work with them. A la Devontae Adams, Derek. It's like, hey, that's my college dude. I want to go back. Over Aaron Rodgers, really, but at the same time, it's like, all right, cool. Glad you did it. Still got your numbers. Congrats. T-Hop was like, yeah, I got my 5. That's what I want. But if they did reunite, that'd be cool. I mean, it's like DeAndre wouldn't be. I mean, I think he'd be the number 1 for sure. But you already have Amari Cooper. You got Elijah Moore. You have
Jones.
Donovan Peoples-Jones. So it's like you don't want to stunt their development. And I mean, honestly, I don't think the Browns really need more offense. They need their defense to stop allowing 25 points a game.
Huh. Well, what do you guys think the holdup is? D-Hop said his 5 teams. It's been out now. Like, it just seems like no movement has been done. Are the contract talks really that intense? I mean, what is going on?
You know what the holdup is?
Yeah.
Trying to get paid, motherfucker. Who's gonna give me the most money? It's like, all right, you teams, you know where I want to go. Now, show me the money, because I'm sure one of these teams that he doesn't want to go to is like, hey, we'll pay you this and you can have this. But he's like, I don't really want to go here, but I do like money. But then on the other hand, it's like, all right, teams that I want to go to, these are the offers I'm getting. Can we get close to that? And at the same time, he has leverage. He's a vet. He doesn't really need to go, or doesn't want to go to OTAs and all that shit. So it's like, man, if I could get out of having to do all those things, I will. I'll just take my time. It doesn't matter where I go. I'm going to be the starter as soon as I get there. Or not even the starter. I'm going to be the one as soon as I get there. So I can take my time and, get a longer off season. Not have to show up for OTAs, and maybe I'll show up halfway through training camp. Right. Whatever, he's him. He's top 3 receiver in the league. He can take his time. He knows how to be prepared, be ready, stay ready. So I think it's a little gamesmanship and negotiation as well. It's business.
Damn, interesting. Well, everyone, we want to close out Sports Minds today with something interesting. We wanted to do something leading into the NFL season, and then, as the season goes by, we'll track by, and see if we're really as smart as we think we are. We're calling it Bold Claims. It's a shitty title, but who cares? Version 1.0. We'll go around the table. We'll give our bold claims for the season. It could be team, player, et cetera, no limits. But what you guys think right now? Early June.
Bold claim, early June. I'm gonna say Rams once again do not make the playoffs.
Is that really a bold claim though? I mean, their team is shitty.
Well, it's Sean McVay.
It's Sean McVay.
All their injured people are healthy again.
Yeah, because that was the narrative. Stafford got hurt. Kupp got hurt. They didn't have enough offensive pieces, but they got rid of Ramsey to get, more offensive draft or more draft capital, which McVay was the one that was in charge of the draft. So he retooled the offense the way that he wanted it to be. But I'm saying Rams, no playoffs.
How long is going to be the focus?
I think Lamar Jackson will be the first player in NFL history to throw for 4,000 yards and rush for 850 points in the season.
Big trust. I didn't want to be biased, so, I didn't say anything about the Ravens.
Wow. Interesting.
What you got, Philthy?
Bold claim for me.
Dak Prescott is going.
Honestly, bold claim for.
Version
1.0 for me. I think. I think the Pats get over the hump. I think the Pats get in the playoffs this year.
Ooh, you think the Pats get in the playoffs in that division?
Yeah. So wait.
I'm not gonna say. Okay, I'll say. Let me soften it. I'll say wild card.
So who's last place in the East for you?
not the Pats.
You got to pick. Is it the Jets with Aaron Rodgers? Is it the Dolphins? You know what they did this offseason? Or is it the Bills? Because if the Pats are getting in a wild card, one of those teams ain't getting in. Because you know we're getting two.
If I have to say right now, oh wow. All right, whatever. It's a bold claim, whatever. If I have to say, if the Pats are getting into at least a wild card and a team has to get out, I say the Jets don't make it.
Oh, I like it. Now that's bold because I'm championing this one. I like it. I like this.
You guys are Aaron Rodgers haters. He's gonna have another MVP-like season. Yes, he is. He's a bad man.
Yeah, he's bad.
Now, I would say that. Okay, I'll say this. It's less Rodgers hate and more like belief in like the Pats not being that shitty on offense again. Because what the hell was that last year that they put on the field? I just believe, like, especially with Bill O'Brien, it's like, man, I'm gonna give you guys a lot of faith. Belichick is still there for a reason. The defense is still very nasty and consistent. They actually have a version of an offense. It's like, man, and last year they were very close. They were a couple plays away, given, had they had an offense because the defense kept them in it. I just think things swing their way this year, and, the Jets choke a couple easy games away, whether that be by 3 or by a Rodgers pick. I don't know.
All right. Well, those are bold claims, and that was Bold Claims version 1. And this was Sports Minds version 17, or as we say, episode 17. So, as always, like, subscribe, follow us on Instagram, TikTok. Keep tuning in. Keep spreading the word. We're going to be back. Hashmaster Z's got the Nuggets in game 2.
Yep.
I got the Heat in game 2. Philthy's got the Heat in game 2. I got the Heat in 6. Hashmaster Z got the Nuggets in
6.
And Philthy, who you got?
I got Jokic in 5.
Jokic in 5.
Okay.
All right. Well, we'll see who is from the future and who is an idiot. Next episode. We out, y'all.
The next episode of Dragon Ball Z.